Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of The Whole Package by Premier Packaging. I'm your host, Billy Watkins, and joining me today is Premier Sales Manager Steve Arkon.
Hey,
Steve.
Billy, thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah.
I think the first time I met you might have been up here, and you were very kind to be complimentary about the podcast, so thank you.
Yeah, no, a fan of it ever since I joined Premier. Even before I joined Premier, I was watching these podcasts. So
You're the
congratulations
one, huh?
to you on a successful podcast.
Thank you. You've been with Premier coming up on 2 years now. You have a fairly interesting business and work history, including kind of a Shark Tank-like competition that you were involved in that we can talk about later. But tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I've been in Louisville now 18 years.
Okay.
I came here from Atlanta. Previous company, it was a relocation to open up a new division for them, ironically right down the street. And so 18 years ago, I was in this neighborhood doing my work thing and going out on appointments. I would drive by this old facility and it was an eyesore. And I just, this old dilapidated aluminum recycling plant,
Okay.
And then I went to a different direction. I worked with that company for another 7 years and then went to another direction that had me traveling a lot more. So I never came back to this area. And I was doing that for about 10 years.
Wow.
And then one day I came on by and I was just blown away with what I saw here. When I looked up and I was like, wow,
Right. Yeah.
that's incredible.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah.
For sure. A couple of things strike me. One, do you certainly don't miss Atlanta traffic. I mean, it's a huge, like when you it's you've got to be appreciative of Louisville when you come from another larger city like that. Like, if I get frustrated in traffic here in Louisville, I remind myself I'm not elsewhere.
In my previous life, I liked traffic. I needed traffic. That was my business. It was automotive related.
Okay.
So the more congestion, the better the opportunity. And when I came here and I could get to my office in 10 minutes, I was looking around, where's the traffic? Where's the opportunities? So it took a while to get our business up and running, but that business is very successful and it was a great run. But yeah, the benefits of Louisville, commuting, thumbs up.
Much better.
Yeah, the only time I miss Atlanta is when I go back to Atlanta. Other than that,
one of the great cities of North America. For sure. Yeah,
and I had a lot of good times there. And home is, my parents still live there. And
oh, cool.
So, we go back enough. My wife went to Georgia Tech. Her parents are down there, so we get back enough.
Cool. You earned a degree in business administration from Radford College in Virginia.
Yep.
Where is that in Virginia?
Radford University is in the town of Radford. It's about a 9,000 student university, about 15 minutes away from Virginia Tech.
Okay.
So Blacksburg, Roanoke, we call it Southwest Virginia. I was just there 2 weeks ago for alumni weekend and some soccer activities. But it's about 6 hours away from here.
Okay. Yeah. Roanoke, I've been there. It's a cool little town. I like that. I like that area. Gorgeous, kind of
pretty.
Similar to Kentucky, but very nice.
Yeah.
You were on the men's soccer team.
Soccer was my life. I grew up in Miami, Florida, played competitive ball. As I was entering high school, my mom got relocated to New Jersey. I did my high school years in New Jersey. We moved into a great township. Very successful soccer programs there, and I was able to hop right on a team and continue to have success. My goal in high school was to play Division I college soccer. My mom was getting relocated out of New Jersey to Atlanta, so I was looking for a school somewhere in between that had a business curriculum and a soccer program, maybe more a soccer program first and then a business curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
And when I visited Radford and I met the coach, I was just floored. It was a beautiful campus. Clicked very well with the coach. The program was young, and it was a great experience. Played all 4 years. I stayed on and coached for a fifth year.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Are you still involved at all, or just a fan of the sport?
Just a fan of the sport and a fan of Radford soccer. I support them
Okay.
as best I can. I try to catch one game a year in person. It's a little bit difficult with travel.
Right.
I'm a fan of all soccer, but I'm not involved with coaching.
Okay.
At this time.
Do you after Radford, you worked in various sales roles, fleet management for a rental car company?
Yeah. That company was known as a great place to start your career. For a lot of people, they would be in that organization for a year and
Right.
their careers were off and running. For me, it took me 20 years to figure out how to advance
You
my career.
stayed a little
I
little longer.
I had a great run between Atlanta and Louisville.
And I would not to name names, but I rent out a lot of cars in my job here, and you can tell, or I can tell, the folks that you deal with. It is kind of it's typically, as long as the line's not too long, it's a very pleasant experience, and everyone working for the particular one that I normally rent from, you can see there's a very sales focus to them, and
Massive culture,
Yeah.
Massive efforts in sourcing the right people. And they have said in the past that they prefer to get the ex-frat house jock that made the upper half of the class possible, if you get my drift.
Yeah.
And I fit that profile. And I had a great time working in that organization. I found a niche within that organization that was more corporate, business to business, supplying dedicated full-time vehicles, fleet vehicles. And we had a great package, and we were wildly successful.
You worked for an electronic payment solutions company for a while.
Very similar. It was in the fleet vertical. So they move money electronically for corporate fleets, trucking fleets. And so I was brought in to work in that arena, but then it moved into moving money electronically for all kinds of companies. So instead of writing paper checks, we send money electronically through credit card type forms that are just virtual or digital.
Much easier.
Yeah, more efficient, cheaper, faster, secure. But that unfortunately only lasted about a year before I was put back into a fleet role with an international fleet management company doing fleet programs that were US based but also had tentacles throughout Europe into every country.
Wow.
So organizing a policy for a company that is a US entity, or it could be a German, an English, an Irish entity deploying a fleet in North America, we would then work with our teammates in Europe to organize a fleet so that it's consistent in North America as it is in Europe.
And this was predominantly trucks or
Sales
just
cars,
everything.
Just
Okay,
sales
everything.
cars,
Yeah.
trucks, vans, light duty.
Working two of those jobs, you earned MBA at Bellarmine University.
Yeah.
A gorgeous place.
Yes.
Right here in Louisville. How'd you juggle all of that?
Getting an MBA was a lifetime goal of mine, and I wasn't in a position to do that in my previous career. As the positions changed, I found that I had the opportunity on the weekends to dedicate, that I would be here for a couple years to fulfill it. So it was a real nice opportunity to reset education, because so much had changed in business law and technology, communications, HR. Just so many different areas have really changed over that 20-year period.
Yeah.
So on top of that was an opportunity to make a network within doing an MBA program, working closely with people for a year and a half. And that was maybe the best benefit of the program.
So one of your courses at Bellarmine was European Business Environment at ESCP Europe. What the heck is that, and did you get to do any study in Europe?
Turns out it's a very prestigious university that I believe was founded by Napoleon.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, and it's in Paris.
And he was into business, huh? I thought maybe it was just...
He built a lot in that
right.
Country. If you've been to Paris, he was responsible for a lot of that organization and how that city's laid out. But having a university, having a place for education was important.
And so you did get to spend some time in Paris at the...
Part of the program with Bellarmine was you had the opportunity to go over to Europe. It could have been Italy. I happened to choose France.
Okay.
There were some opportunities there to get into some automotive spaces with the program, and we got to tour some facilities, some plants in and around the Paris area. We got to visit with Brown-Forman, which is headquartered in Louisville. We went to their European headquarters. We had lectures from prominent professors in Europe and just some general broad discussions about the economy and policies, and Europe in general.
Kind of not hard not to enjoy that, right? And it is an amazing city.
It was an excellent experience with college friends, right? We do our curriculum stuff during the day, but we would have the evenings to ourselves to explore.
Did you have any grasp of the language?
No, but they were surprisingly very good with English.
I agree.
And
I
helpful.
agree. Like they were when I went, and I wasn't there for long, but I was deathly afraid that I was just going to be treated poorly because I didn't know the language, and no one. I think that's just a bad rap they get. But everybody spoke English fine, and I got around.
I liked it so much. I think a couple years later, I took my wife back for a trip so that she could see it, because what I saw just blew my mind.
Yeah. Very nice. So in 2015, you participated in a kind of a local competition called Venture Sharks. It kind of modeled after the TV show Shark Tank, right? You made it through several rounds to present your idea. Let's talk about what the idea was. What was your...
It all started with a course at Bellarmine as I was finishing the MBA, and it was something along the lines of solving a problem for your current employer. Find a problem, come up with a solution, put a plan together. And as I did that, and as I wrote the plans and did the forecasts and got organized, I also put the technology together. With a little bit of help with some professors on where to look and who to ask, pretty quickly I was able to put a solution together that was to solve a problem for my employer, and that was in company fleets, and it was designating business use versus personal use and making that easy for drivers to do, because the drivers are accountable to report the personal use of a company asset, a car.
Right.
And a lot of times that's a guessing game. My technology actually made it easy for the drivers just to swipe business or personal.
Right.
So that they could organize their end of the month record keeping, their T&E, so to speak. And it was a hit with the fleets that I addressed. They were behind it. One of them was a very prominent, large insurance company in Michigan, who we wanted to develop it for his team exclusively as a start. So we had a use case for it. I had to go back and figure out with my internal IT team how to make this thing work. They didn't have the bandwidth to do it, so I took this on and literally went to Best Buy, bought a plug-in, an OBD2 port plug-in that throws up APIs and some data, collected that into an Excel spreadsheet, and then we worked to build that into an application. We had this in the Apple Store.
Nice.
Yeah, so the story...
It was called Logjustrips.
Horrible name.
Well, I thought
it was clever.
It took me a while to figure... Yeah,
We're in a logistics city, and it sounds like logistics. It looks like logistics when you read it, but Logjustrips. We were just logging trips. We weren't doing anything navigational.
Sort of rolls off the tongue. I mean, it's...
Yeah, kind of. Well, the big problem with that project was user adoption. Companies were very excited about the opportunity to better organize the taxable fringe benefit of a company car.
Yeah.
Drivers, not so much.
Right.
Drivers on the weekend want to load up the family and go to soccer tournaments all over the place and use the company car.
I have to be accountable now? Damn it. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So user adoption is something that I learned along the way that and I did not take anyone's money on this. I won some prize money doing pitch contests, but I did not go to investors.
It was like a $10,000 prize, right?
Yeah.
And you didn't. I mean, that was just that was for you. That wasn't to.
Oh, it was for my development team. It was buying inventory of these some of the devices.
It was to go towards.
It was
developing
to help fund. Yeah. It wasn't compensation. I just put it right back into the development.
What did you learn from it? I'm assuming it was a fairly intense competition, or?
Yeah, so it started off, with a group of 10 people that were coming in and pitching. Now we were trained on how to deliver a pitch within 8 minutes to investors. That covered a spectrum: total addressable market, total revenue, profit margins, scalability, and we would have to deliver that very quickly. So in doing that, because I was in sales and I presented, I got my stuff organized, I got my deck organized, my technology was right, and I was pretty confident in the product. I'm okay that it didn't go. I'm okay. because I really enjoyed my work, and I had to make a decision. Do I want to let go of work and focus on this, or do I want to focus on work? I did this for my employer, and I wanted to stay with my employer, and I wasn't willing to take anyone's money, because again, the user adoption thing was kind of a concern for me.
Yeah.
Now, there are pivots along the way as you develop a product, and one of the pivots could be tolling and how drivers use vehicles on the roads today. Electric vehicles are not buying gasoline and contributing to the trust that keeps our roads going. So there is a future element out there, but I'm not exploring it.
You're in Corrugated.
I learned about that,
Yeah.
and it made me feel very confident as a subject matter expert on taxation of a company vehicle.
And getting comfortable with successfully giving an 8-minute pitch, and ain't that bad to have for what you're doing now, right?
The final round was in the Muhammad Ali Center with the top 4 teams,
Yeah.
a room full of people, with a set similar to this, with me just up there pitching. And I was blown away, floored that the audience picked me as the best product to go forward.
Very cool. So since then, you joined Premier in 2022.
22, yeah.
2022. How'd you get here? What brought you here?
It came from the Bellarmine MBA program.
Okay.
The connections that I made there, a couple of employees in my program were leading sales teams at Premier, were leading the finance department at Premier. I immediately felt comfortable with that since I worked with them for a year and a half. They knew who I was and what I could do. I didn't know anything about packaging, and I said, okay, well, I'll do a walkthrough, and that changed everything. When I walked through this warehouse and then I walked through the plant, I was blown away. The customers, the clients that we have in the warehouse and their names on these pallets were very, very similar to the clients that I was taking care of with cars. So it just was a change from cars to Corrugated.
Right.
And what I do as a sales manager is very, very similar. Same sales technologies that I had before are here at Premier, and I was very impressed to see Premier make that investment. But it's developing people, it's supporting my team, it's riding along, it's helping them get things out of their way so that they can have an easier experience making their sales.
Do you feel like you have, in the time you've been here, the learning curve of going from vehicles to Corrugated? How you doing on the Corrugated end? Do you know what you're
still learning?
Yeah,
and still exploring different products. This morning I was putting in a form for a new product for us to vet out. And 15 minutes after that, I was getting ready for a presentation that I have this afternoon. So things move very quickly here, and we have so many different things to offer. And I just happen to have a very active sales team, very successful sales team that keeps me busy.
Right.
They keep bringing things to our company, to my desk, for us to sit down and work on and plan and really collaborate with many others within Premier.
You have a diverse business experience. Obviously, what have you brought that to Premier? Have you changed some of the things that we were doing before with what your experience was prior?
Part of what I had to do was learn my team, build trust with my team, earn their trust.
Yeah.
Then beyond that, it's looking for opportunities for them to explore, finding new companies to enter in, new products that we can offer. There's been some employee development opportunities which have been really fun. The tools that we have are pretty technical, and they take some reinforcement training. I happen to be pretty good in them. I was using them for years before, and they're relatively newer tools to Premier. So,
and those tools give salesmen, the salespeople, a framework. So it's
they can get right to decision makers. They can communicate. How do we communicate? Is it a phone call, an email? Is it a particular piece of technology that blows my mind that we have called Sales Reach?
Yeah.
Using those tools and organizing them and getting them comfortable with them, it takes a little time.
Very cool. I'm thinking, you've been here for a couple of years. What do you think of the future for yourself and for Premier?
I think we have a lot of growth in this market that's still before us. I think we have a long runway.
Because you're sales manager of Ohio Valley.
Yeah.
We've been here for a while, right?
That helps. Yeah, we've got great name recognition,
Right.
a great reputation.
But there's still opportunities out there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't have everything, but I think the industry as a whole has growth ahead of it. Sure, this year is a little bit of a recessionary impact, and people are pausing a little bit.
Yep.
But I think we're almost seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, getting through that. Excited about 2024.
Packaging is not going anywhere.
That's right. Yeah.
Steve, it was very nice talking to you today. Do you have any, by the way, this is dumb. They can cut this out if they like, but I was looking up because you have a distinct last name, Arkon.
Yeah.
Am I saying it right?
Great
Arkon.
story. Yeah, there's a good story there.
It's spelled differently, but the word Arkon, Archon, it's like Greek for like leader or like king or something like that, like a high level position. So I thought that was kind of cool.
I've heard that from my parents.
Okay.
I do plan on going to Greece next year. I'll
nice.
confirm that.
Just
but
change the
interesting
spelling.
story. My family did come here from Greece, so that was
Okay.
pretty good pickup there. The name when they arrived through Ellis Island was Arhondakis. It wasn't easy for everyone to say, so they changed it to
Kind of like Logistus or
right,
whatever.
Stephen Arhondakis. But on my birth certificate, my name is Stephen Arkentaki. So
Wow.
my parents or grandparents changed the name or Americanized it to Arkentaki. It's just the same name, but with T-A-K-Y on the end. My dad, when I was in third grade, decided to shorten the name, take the tacky off, because he was tired of spelling it over and over. So then we became Arkon. So my dad and I changed our name to Arkon.
Arkon.
My uncle, who's in the theater business in New York City, decided to change his name as well, but he put an I instead of an O in there because of either Alan Arkin or
Arkin,
it's
yeah.
in the theater
Yeah.
business, the name clicked.
Looks a little better, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm Stephen Arkin. No plans of changing it to.
They didn't even put that on my sheet. I came up with that by myself. So there you go. I'm so glad I mentioned that. We won't cut that out now, Mr. Arkon.
Arkentaki. I still have friends call me Arkentaki.
I like it. I like it very much. Thank you for joining us today.
Sure.
Until we meet again. This is Billy Watkins with the Whole Package by Premier Packaging. Thanks, everybody.
Do you have comments, questions, or ideas about this topic? If so, we'd like to hear from you. Please visit primpack.com/podcast to let us know what you think. Thanks.